Your list of achievements is pretty incredible. Co-founding Energetics Technologies, with your husband and Sidney Kimmel. I mean, being funded by DARPA to do cold fusion research. I mean, that's quite insane. Um, and that's not even the craziest one. You're being hand selected by Bill Gates to be CEO of Concentric Advisors, to lead physicists, electrochemists, and
Hmm?
material scientists. I
Right.
mean, this it's just so wild. Now, you're an executive consultant and a lecturer at UC Berkeley. Um, what is that? What was that like? Going through this career, and how do you take all that knowledge and pass it on now?
It was, none of it was anything that I planned. And, people talk about being really lucky. I think that it's going through the world with eyes wide open so that
Hmm.
when an opportunity appears, you see it and you seize it. And it was so amazing to work with these brilliant individuals and have to gain their trust
Hmm.
because I didn't come from their field with the physicists. And about 2 years in, one of the lead physicists said to me, I can't believe you pulled this off. And it was the sweetest thing. So encouraging. It was just, oh my gosh, thank you. I can't either, actually. And now, um, I love what I'm doing and helping other people get to their dream. Just last night, I was teaching at Berkeley, and they were MBA candidates. And what we were doing is practicing storytelling so that
Hmm.
their skills at work would be elevated and they would be able to tell the business story coherently to executives. And I cannot even describe how much fun that was.
I bet, and I think you must be good at it. You have to be very good at storytelling and spinning your own story in a very inspiring way. If you were able to, convince people to fund you to start a cold fusion lab, it's not everyone that that does that. Maybe could you
That's
explain
true.
like how you managed to, pull this together and what it was like also founding with your husband.
Um, he was a very brilliant thinker, not a doer. So I was the translator from theory to reality. And it was extraordinary when he first had the idea about how this would work with condensed matter nuclear physics. I went out and met with some of the top physicists in the world. They took my call. I can't tell you why, but they did. And, okay, thank you. And I told them what was going on, what the theory was, how it might work. Extreme skepticism, of course. Had them meet with my husband so they could get the real intellectual kind of thought pattern and discuss that. And they came on board and said, yeah, you know what? This could actually work. And it was because of that that I was able to go to Sidney Kimmel and say, I know this is off the wall and it's research. We're not standing up a business here. We're doing research, although a business did spin out of it in stirring of metals. And this forward looking, make things happen clothing guy that came up from a family of dad was a taxi driver and he pulled himself up by the bootstraps and ended up owning one of the Jones, New York. And he got on board. Really, really, just an amazing person. And that was that. We launched, the physicists were based in Berkeley and Israel. They were doing research in both places. So we founded in Israel. So we had a hub of brilliant people, and then set up joint ventures with joint research with the Italian Nuclear Commission. So I got to live in Rome also.
Nice.
It was nice.
Yeah.
It was really nice. And it just was exciting and very high pressure to make something happen. It's research. It was rough. And I loved it. And I loved the people I was working with.
Mhm. It sounded like you maybe also had a relationship with sorry,
That's
blanking on
okay.
his name, Sidney Kimmel, beforehand, because you kind of said you called him up like you were buddies. Like, how did you
Well,
did you have an in already or?
well, what happened was he had started working with me with another startup. It was Life Waves, where we were creating health. And back then, nobody knew about heart rate variability, but that's what we were measuring. And that the theory being that higher the heart rate variability, not too high, but high versus low and flat, creates health. Sydney got on the program and found enormous benefits from it. So I pitched him on, let's start a company.
Yeah, he was there like getting treatment basically from your startup, and you're like, "Oh, by the way,
By the way, let's do
you
this
should.
together.
Yeah, I'm playing with your heart right now, so you should probably fund me."
Right.
No, no
The
threat.
safe thing to do.
It seems like the safe way to go about things.
So that's why, yes, I was already in touch with him, already working with him. He funded that startup and then funded the second startup.
Incredible. I mean, it's just such a wild thing. You don't get to talk to someone who's, you know, building something that is the future of our energy solutions. Do you mind if I ask, like, did you guys find anything? Because there's a lot of talk. I mean, I also have family that are involved in the oil industry in Canada and a member that's in a think tank. And
Hmm.
he's been also involved with the cold fusion a bit, and he was kind of like at a family gathering saying that it's been figured out, but they're just holding back so, it doesn't become mainstream. It's currently reserved for military use. I don't know if he was making that up or, I don't have a way of verifying. Can you tell us anything, or is it top secret?
No, we were definitely also funded by the Department of Defense. And um, it is, at that point in time, we had extraordinary results. We had runaway experiments where they kicked off, started producing excess heat, and then they just run on their own. You don't have to put any more fuel in to create that extreme excess heat, and it actually melted the experiments.
So
It
it
was,
was like too productive.
it was. And
Yeah.
then, of course, we started thinking about, this could blow up.
Right, yeah. Because how does that work? You have to have like a safety mechanism, right? So it's like if it melts the experiment, what does it create like a big tub of water, like there's something that extinguishes it, or what is the safety protocol in an experiment like that? I mean, I'm so interested.
It was, yeah, there were safety protocols on how, if once you start it, how do you stop it?
Yeah, because if
And
you're adding, just keep
right.
adding.
Exactly. So yes, there were mechanisms to stop it so we didn't all blow up. Also, it's not nuclear like you think of a meltdown in a nuclear power plant. It's not
Yeah,
that kind of nuclear.
yeah,
There are traces of nuclear material that come off, but nothing that you couldn't stand right in front of it unless it
yeah,
melts down. That would not be
yeah.
a good place to be. And so we were at the point of how do you make it reliably reproducible? What special sauce is there that makes some experiments wildly successful and others are duds? and we were playing with metallurgy and foils and electrochemistry and all kinds of things to try to find out what that was. And the research is still going on today.
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine, and this is most definitely the future. I mean, as we look towards a more clean and stable energy solution, I mean, I think everyone wants to get off of oil, and there's so much fear around nuclear because of, what happened in the Ukraine.
Yeah, human error.
Yeah, that's the thing, but people, people remember that. They remember Chernobyl, and
Oh,
there, there's just a genuine and overlying fear because of it, and I think I don't know. I'm not at the same level of education as you in this field, but from my understanding, it is the safest and most effective way to provide energy for our planet currently versus continuing. I mean, obviously there's solar and wind, but we haven't scaled that to the point where it can actually supply the general public, correct?
right. Also, ecologically, if you've ever seen a wind farm or a solar farm, they're horrible. And the solar farms, as well as are uh, the large banks of batteries that are fueling, AI and all the wonderful things that we get to play with, are warming the ground substantially,
Yeah.
and that's a problem.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's one thing that people I don't think realize as well is that to have a solar farm actually produce, and same with a wind farm, because I mean, the turbines don't spin all the time, the wind dies. And in order to create like a consistent flow of energy, you need to have all these batteries, which at the end of the day, this is something that is polluting as well. And we have to mine, and then they only last for so long, and we have to throw them out. And I mean, it's kind of the same argument for electric cars, right? It's like, okay,
Yeah.
great, you have an electric car, but like it's got a bunch of cobalt from a pit mine in the Congo where people are working for $1 a day, and like you kind of just tune that out. I mean, it's not that we're working, we are working towards better solutions, but sometimes I think people kind of jump on this like virtue signaling. Jesus, sorry, I'm gonna cut that out. This virtue signaling kind of mentality. They're like,
Yeah.
okay, like, I'm a saint now because I got an electric car, but it's not that simple, We're still working
Wow.
towards real solutions, which
Yeah.
sounds like
I
you're just
couldn't.
found.
I couldn't agree with you more. It's just we were sold a bill of goods about electric vehicles.
Hmm.
The batteries, as you said, are so polluting. And the mining that goes into getting those rare earth minerals is what they're called. I mean, come
Yeah.
on. There's a reason that it's called rare earth minerals, and that mining is horrible and polluting. And then at the end of the life of the car, what do you do with the battery? You can't throw it out. It's polluting. And P.S., you're plugging it in. Let's see, how is electricity made? Is that clean? Nope, not at all.
Yeah, that's the thing is if you're burning coal or something,
Right.
charging the car from a coal burning power plant. Like,
Exactly. Oh, that's a good idea. I wish I had thought of that. I
you
mean, it's
know, Hmm. No, I mean, like, it's one thing if you're, in an area where there's a lot of renewable resources, like growing up in Vancouver, Canada, we have lots of hydro, we have an abundance of hydroelectricity. So, if you're in an area like that, it makes sense. You know that you're not actually like just polluting in a different way to charge your battery. It's like
right.
if you're, somewhere where there's a coal burning plant nearby, like then it's kind of just silly,
Yeah. Yeah, it's ridiculous, and
Mhm.
nobody has figured out a clean way to mine coal.
Yeah. I don't think there is.
I don't think there is either.
Yeah, yeah. Sadly, probably the cleanest way was when you went down with a canary and you're just doing it with a pickaxe, right? Like that's the lowest impact way to mine coal, but no one's we're not doing that, obviously. I hope
No,
we're never doing
no,
that again.
Not so good for human health.
No, not great. But I mean, it sounds like, you're speaking about the kind of combination of uh, metallurgy and the research you were doing in Israel, and obviously you were working with people in kind of similar fields later on when you
Mhm.
were elected CEO by Bill Gates. Could you talk us through like that transition and also how you ended up in the room and being selected by Bill? Like, what was that like?
It was so much fun. I don't know how else to describe that period. Bill had gone to Italy to look at the research facilities that we had there. And brilliant man, Vittorio Violante, ran that laboratory, and we were co-researching. Bill is a curious person, and he's does a lot on the edge of research. What can we do to make this a better world? And that's where I casually met him. It was not a thing.
Yeah.
However, we were energetics technology was the largest private laboratory doing the research in the world. And so if you were interested in the field, you knew about energetics. He went to the plant to the research laboratory in Italy instead of Israel for security reasons. They could do much more. It was a secure facility. And we sold energetics technology. I'm a Jersey girl, moved to Florida, life is good. And then I get the call that he has donated $25 million to Texas Tech University to be the upfront public research laboratory. In stealth mode, he wanted a private laboratory that was not under the auspices of a university and we could do anything we wanted. And because I had already done it and I had already stood up a laboratory and I knew what was involved, it was just a very natural fit. And we started from scratch. It's an old Air Force base here in Lubbock, Texas, since he chose Lubbock. 3 weeks after the beginning, I moved to Lubbock, and just wonderful facility. It was 12,000 square foot parachute repair facility. So it had a really cool tower.
Yeah.
It was a great old building.
For jumping off, right?
Exactly, exactly. We're on the edge. And so we completely rehabbed it, turned it into a magnificent laboratory with funky details, and off we went. So I spent a lot of time convincing people all over the world that they really wanted to live in Lubbock, Texas, and do research.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you built the reason for them to come, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we were our own community, really. And because we were in stealth mode, nobody knew what we were doing. We never talked about it.
Yeah. I mean, you must have felt like some sort of super spy, like working on this top secret project. Like,
Yeah, it truly, truly, it was so much fun. And we were all under non-disclosure agreements. So we would never talk about who was funding the laboratory, what the work was, what we were doing. And yeah, it was like I spy.
yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it
Obviously,
was
you're talking
wonderful.
about it now. So, was there a term period of the NDA, or is there still stuff you can't talk about?
Now it has ended, but it really took my voice away, and I didn't realize that because after the laboratory was closed right before COVID, he knew what was going on in China. He knew the risk we were under. He had already written a book about pandemics. And so he shuttered his 8 private laboratories. We were one of them, and we weren't told why. It was devastating. Oh my gosh, why are you closing us? And he just kept saying, it's not you. Thanks. Then we found out shortly thereafter. And it was the problem I realized is that I had signed at the end a 5 year NDA. So all of a sudden, five, those years I couldn't talk about. I lost my life. I lost my voice, and I had no idea that that was going to happen. And as soon as the 5 years was up, I said to someone that I met through coaching that I've lost my story. I don't know how to talk about it. And I was coached for months by different people helping me find my voice again. And, you know, you worked for Bill Gates. Don't you have anything to say? No, it was fine.
We just become accustomed to approaching the situation like that, right? It's like you've ingrained this like aversion into your brain, like after
Right.
repeating that process for 5 years. So, but once you finally like were able to break out of that and you found your voice again, I mean, it must have been so liberating, you know?
Oh, so much fun because then the stories started coming back, and I was in contact with other people that were in the laboratory. So we started talking about it, and I started talking to Vittorio Violante and and Shaul Lesson, who was in Israel and had also come over and worked with us. Just what are the stories? What were we doing? What was it like? And going up to the meetings in Seattle and sitting in that boardroom and what that felt like. And it was extraordinary. It really was.
And also to be like involved kind of with someone that was at the epicenter. Not that he was like directly involved, but that Bill Gates, you know, being at such a high level and being involved in so many projects around the world, and
Mm,
obviously he has a very influential group of contacts, and like being kind of affected by COVID before the world even was understanding, you're really there at the kind of at the heart of the problem, at the heart
right.
of the changing of the times.
Hmm.
It, does that feel like kind of crazy looking back at it? I mean, obviously every kind of step of your story is crazy. Like, what did that feel like, being kind of so close to the inner circle or being in the inner circle?
Um, it the first day that I went for my first meeting, I was struck with I was paralyzed by imposter syndrome. What am I doing at this table? Have I earned a seat at this table? I don't even remember what we talked about. But after I got over that, he ran a meeting where he brought in about 20 brilliant people from around the world. What if cold fusion works? What changes? And that was the moment that it was like, oh, where am I? What is happening in this room?
Yeah,
That was really the moment of, whoa, this is fun. This is really meaningful
no,
because it will happen. And we started talking about flying cars and what's the impact? Then what? We have traffic
yeah,
jams in the sky? I mean,
yeah,
what's that going to look like? And the Jetsons and just pure brainstorming. It was great.
yeah. Oh, it's so incredible. Like, really, the possibilities become kind of limitless, no? When
Right.
like, when you think about being able to have unlimited energy, and like, if we're able to also put this into a compact vessel, like, then what? You know?
Then what,
Is
right?
this is this like how you create utopia? Because all of a sudden, like, if energy is free, I mean, it's not
Mm-hmm.
like we won't have any cost to, but like everything becomes dramatically reduced in price to the point of, I mean, where does the cost of, your food come from? Like vegetables. I
Right.
mean, It's basically mostly, I mean, there's the time, but it's mostly the energy cost of, you know, using the tractors, shipping, processing. Like, I
Right.
don't
And
know.
that
It just,
all goes away.
yeah, it all goes away. The government
Right.
doesn't need to subsidize our system as much anymore,
Right.
meaning we don't have to tax or have as high of taxes. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. Yeah,
Exactly. And then AI is getting better and better and better. And you
yeah,
add that into the mix.
exactly. You can power AI.
It's very existential. So, what does it mean to be a human? And how do I differentiate myself from AI? What can I do that AI can't do? And then free energy, it would be what we consider utopia.
Yeah.
Extraordinary. What's our purpose on
I mean,
earth?
it sounds like we're kind of close to that. Like when you're telling me about, what your experience was at the lab, I'm like, it makes me very hopeful.
A lot of hope. And isn't that a nice feeling to think, wow, we could do this?
Hmm. But I mean, I feel like uh, you have like more to tell us. I'm kind of sitting here with my mind blown wide open right now. Like, what was the conclusion of like what point was the research at before the lab got closed down? Did they open it up again? It seems like the most worthwhile project that we could possibly be working on.
No, he did not come back and restart that research. And I don't know about some of the other labs, whether or not any of them have been restarted. During that period of time, he refocused into different areas. And then we all know everything else that has happened. So I think that he's laying low a little bit,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's been a very interesting time lately in terms
right?
of the scandal that's been going on globally.
Yeah, yeah, it's unbelievable. Right, and I think that the amount of change that we are all coping with is must have been what it was like to go from horse and carriage, no electricity, to all of a sudden you have refrigerators and washers and dryers and cars, and that change was so substantive in terms of human life. And I think that's exactly where we are right now.
Yeah, I also agree. I think that like I like to use the same kind of analogy with AI. It's like going from the horse-drawn carriage to a car and having electronics. And I mean, if we have cold fusion, I think that's an even bigger change.
It really does change everything. Right, our everyday life changes. And there aren't that many things that affect everyone universally.
Yeah, like the thing is, like when I'm also looking at all these coming together, we haven't talked about quantum computing, you know?
Whew,
Like
right?
what happens when we have free energy, quantum computers, and AI all in the mix together? I mean, I'm kind of having my own imposter syndrome right now. Like, I'm like thinking you should be talking to Joe Rogan or a bigger podcaster than me. But
No.
like, actually Joe Rogan, he has this kind of idea of the singularity event. And like I think that's like if there's such a thing as like this singularity event where, you know, we kind of like create God in a sense, that
Yeah.
would be it.
Yes, that it definitely is it. That's why working in the field, I became almost evangelical about it because
Mhm.
making it work changes
Yeah.
the world.
It
Re-
changes the foundation of humanity, of society. Like
yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah,
so crazy.
it is crazy. It also becomes the savior for producing the energy that quantum computing needs. It's a
Yeah,
huge amount of energy. And for AI, I mean, it's just, we haven't really faced what those implications are yet. And people are talking about it. It's not like it's hidden. They're building a nuclear plant here in Texas right now. And Gates, Microsoft bought 3 Mile Island. How about that one?
Really? Yeah. Also, that's where they had a nuclear accident as well. There,
Yeah,
they,
that
that
wasn't
was
good.
in the 90s. I don't know that much about that. I just know that there was an incident there. Are they trying to like create a nuclear facility there again? Do you know why they purchased it?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, they are.
There was a whistleblower. There's a movie made about her. And if those brain cells were firing right now, I could tell you the name of the movie, but I can't.
It's okay. We have AI to look it up very easily now.
Right. Absolutely. And one of the more fun stories about AI is that someone that I coach asked AI early on, tell me about the cow that jumped over the moon. And AI came back with, it wanted to exercise its legs, and it gave, it gave how it was building muscle and how good it was for the cow, how much fun the cow had over the moon. And it made up a whole story about it. And it then asked, would you like me to put a plan together for building a dairy farm on the moon?
Really? No way. Wait, actually?
It's wonderful. It's a wonderful, wonderful hallucination.
Yeah.
Today, when you ask AI about it, it will tell you about the children's story.
Mhm. I think the hallucination is more fun.
I do too. That's what I
Yeah,
told it. That's like, what a great
yeah,
image. Thank you, AI. That is
yeah.
a fun one.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that one is not as far-fetched as we think, though, based on how quickly things are, improving. I mean,
Yes.
that's the thing is like we don't really know what the limits are going to be like once you have the combination of quantum computing and AI, and things are accelerating at a rate that is just so unbelievably rapid that you know it, it's every couple months now that we're making you know leaps in progress that are 5, 10 times what we were before. I just I have a hard time connecting where we're at right now with just a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. You know,
Right?
it's just it's it's so crazy. And
It
like
is.
I don't know, I'm getting so wrapped up in it, but it's also like it's important to also find that balance. Like it's kind of scary, because on one hand it's so exciting, but on the other hand you want to also just go back to the good old days. We all I think have this nostalgia for like the 90s, which were kind of like this peak time. Like we have all the modern comforts, but people aren't wrapped up in social media or smartphones. And it's like you have such an appreciation for everything that's happening right now, but as well, a desire to be back in the simple times. Like as someone who's, worked on creating some of the most powerful technology and powerful like experiments I guess the world's seen. Like what is your opinion? Do you ever have that sense of nostalgia, or are you just all you said you became evangelical about it, so I guess you're just looking forward, no?
I, that's absolutely a correct assessment of who I am. As a matter of fact, my daughter just blasted me the other day because I don't have any stories from like my childhood and growing up and all that because I use my brain forward and I don't have all of those nostalgic kinds of roots of where I came from and what it was, and it you really have to pull it out of pull it
Yeah.
out of me.
As I'm pulling teeth.
It is, it is, and there's an organization called Edgewalkers. A brilliant woman, Judy Neal, founded it, and it is about that capability of seeing around corners and the idea of feeling the future without really being able to see it. So an inventor knows it's there, but can't see it yet. It can't be brought to life yet. And that's what edge walking feels like. And she also talks about being a guardian where somebody looks forward but sees all the risks. That part of my brain never clicks in. So I need people around me that say, you could
Okay.
actually die. Don't do that.
Rein me back a little bit. Like, as you're, yeah, blowing up the lab from the experiment going too well.
Right, exactly. It's just, okay, step
Oh
back.
gosh. Yeah. That's crazy. Well, that's why
Yeah.
you build a team, right? You need people that are, pushing forward, and you need people that are also, creating a set of checks and balances. Like, no one person is completely rounded. You need you know, to assemble that dream team to complement
Yes.
each other.
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
It makes so much sense. And you need people that want stability and will keep the environment more stable and don't get all worked up into the emotions of the moment and can tune out the noise and stay very calm and stable through it all, where I might be running around in circles, all excited.
Getting excited.
Woo! We can do
Oh
this.
gosh. Yeah. Incredible. And like, so you've had like this amazing career and you've been involved in so much. Like, how do you package all this up into your coaching, And I mean, when you're talking with leaders, like, how do you form the relationships? I feel like there's got to be a line of people, and you're cherry picking the people that you want to work with. Like, uh,
It is. I'm very fortunate to have the people around me, these leaders that are looking for the next point for themselves in growth. And what is that? And what does that look like? And looking at organizational changes that need to be made to grow the corporation. I work with a lot of biotech and tech startups, which is so much fun because you've got these PhDs, they're coming out of their postdocs, and they've got great ideas that they've been working on. And let's make a product, let's form a company, let's do this research. Oh my gosh, it's a company, and now what do I do?
yeah,
And
yeah,
working next to them to create the next thing, and what does it look like in an organization, and are you sure you really want to be a CEO, because you can't sit at the bench anymore. You are choosing to give up everything that got you here, and it's very difficult. And because in the beginning of the startup, you're everyone's hands on. It doesn't matter what needs to be done. But then there's a point at which you start to hold the company back. And
yeah. You become the bottleneck, right?
exactly. And working with with these individuals is energizing for me, because if I can make a difference in the way an organization is run with humanity and kindness and still driving toward the bottom line, of course, but you can do that. There's an organization, Conscious Capitalism, that is built on training people how to, you can be a capitalist, but you've got to have consciousness with it, and that's kindness and spirituality. It's amazing. And I'm also working with some huge corporations that have thousands of employees. And what does it look like in that setting? And these leaders are people. What do I want in my life? And how do I want to show up? Who am I in the world?
Yeah.
Totally energizing.
Yeah. Could you walk us through actually what the systems look like when you're working with someone? Like, you're working both at optimizing the structure of the corporation as well as empowering the leadership and helping build a more um, human environment? Or what other processes are you putting in place during your coaching?
Um, There are many different things that need to be addressed, of course. And we all talk about organizational design, but organizational design is totally dependent on actual functionality. How does this company actually function? And setting the design of the organization up, therefore, to optimize productivity, to optimize communication. Who are the stakeholders? And those people need to be really close together working. And we talk about cross function, and people are, yeah, poo-pooing it. It's the most important thing you can do in an organization, right? That's how it becomes an enterprise, because your thinking is about the whole company, not a silo. And that is one of the most challenging things for people. So we work on that, becoming a big company, getting to the point that you're going into the C-suite and thinking enterprise-wide. So there are a lot of things that go into that we work on. What is important? Who are your stakeholders now? We also I deal a lot with self-awareness. There's typically a gap between how we see ourselves and what our intentions are and our impact on other people around us. Do a lot of work on the difference between leading and management. What do those systems look like? Because it's not the same thing. We've got buzzwords, lead with empathy. What does that mean? I have to feel what everybody else is feeling? That's what empathy is. If I feel what you're feeling and you're depressed, I'm depressed. No. Or you're angry at the corporation. If I'm in empathy, I'm angry at the corporation. You can't do that. You stop managing and leading. You have to be in compassion. Well, what does that look like? And this nonsense about tough conversations. If you frame it as punishment, it's tough. But if you are looking at it as, okay, let's get better at this. What do you need? What support structures? This is what's going wrong. How do we make that right? What would it look like in the future if it was all going well? Those are the kinds of things. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I mean that's a very yeah, good way of explaining what's going on in your teachings. I think that's what we want to know, the secret sauce of how you come in and reform an organization. Um, you also said something the other day that when we talked before that stuck with me, and this was like, in reference to the startups that you're working with.
Mm.
And you said you're still learning, you're constantly learning, and this is part of that mentality that you have to be like looking forward. What's exciting you the most that you're learning right now, and what projects are you currently involved with that excite you?
Oh, it's such a blast. I've got some pharma startups where they're really working on cures for cancer that are small molecules, really technical, targeted. So you're not chemotherapy and the whole body goes wacko. These therapies, I mean, this is also beyond imagination, go and target the cancer cells. That's
Wow.
what they do. Well, think about that. That's Star Wars. Disney years ago had shrinking people in one of their exhibits, and the doctors would take a trip through the body and just fix what was wrong. Oh, it's like that. And these little tiny molecules know what to do. What?
Yeah. How do you program a molecule to know what to do? Like they're
Oh,
little computers, right?
right. That is absolutely unbelievable. And I love it. Another area I'm working in is robotics. Well, you put AI and robotics together, and it's like what just happened here?
Yeah. Yeah, all of a
I,
sudden you have autonomous robots. Like there's startups for robots that will, stay at home and do chores and clean up your house. And I'm sure that's just like, the tip of the iceberg.
it's so brilliant and so much fun. And watching these corporations mature and get from Series A to Series D funding, it's extraordinary. And who has the capability within the organization to grow to the next level? And people have to really decide what turns them on. And sometimes those original brilliant founders really just don't want to run a large company. I'll go found something else and start again because that's where the energy comes from.
Right. Yeah, they're excited by the process of doing something new. And as soon as they have done it, they're like, okay, I don't feel like scaling the corporations. Like I want the thrill of discovery, right?
Exactly. Absolutely, exactly.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
feel the same way? Yeah, I mean, it seems like you're constantly discovering things. Do you enjoy the process of building a corporation as much as the process of doing something new? Or what's your take on that?
When you look back over my life, I do nothing but jump off cliffs. And I always find a new cliff to jump off of. And I will have to admit that I love jumping off cliffs. It's so much fun. And there's always something new out there. And periodically, some of the coaches that I work with, one in particular, Gwen Osterban, just I told her about my next great idea. And she and I are working on some projects. And she was just so beautiful about it. And yes, that's wonderful. It's a great idea. And I think we absolutely need to do that together. However, there are all these projects that we've already started that we really need to focus on and finish.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Do you have ADHD by any chance?
I think I do. Severe,
Yeah. Yeah, you're doing 100 different things at once.
always.
What are these projects that you have like half started or half finished that you're juggling right now?
Oh, they are fun. We are working together to go into companies to work with their leadership team as a whole, and on some of them also the first team below the C-suite, and looking at how that C-suite works together because whatever's happening in that room is going to filter straight through the organization. So if there's tension in the room, everybody below them is going to be tense. And
Shit
how
goes downhill.
you got it exactly. So however they communicate is how the rest of the organization communicates. When they start fighting over what the best way to do something, then fighting becomes part of the culture. What we are finding in these companies is that, oh, yeah, we've got our goal, we've got our mission, we've got our vision. Okay, great. What is it? And you get different versions from every person. It's like, no, 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 we don't have a North Star here. And nobody can make a decision if we don't know exactly where we want to go. That can change, and it should change over time, of course. But we really need to know who we are. And you've got brilliant people in the room, and they're not communicating with each other.
Right.
So that's what we
Everyone's
do.
got right. Everyone's got their own North Star, but they haven't said like together, this is the one we have to follow as a group. They've all got a different idea of what the future is and what they need to be working on, and then they're yeah, if you're not in alignment,
Mhm.
then you're pulling each other in different directions and tearing the organization apart, right?
Absolutely, that's exactly what happens. And they don't even realize that they're not headed to the same end point,
Mhm.
which, because everybody has assumed all along we agree, and not happening. And what style of management? are we going to push through the company and have the organic build up bottom up? Who are our people? Who have we hired? What is it? If you don't know in the C-suite where you're headed, you think anyone that works for you knows why they come to work in the morning? Do you want people, oh, tactical, I just do this little tiny job? Or is there meaning and purpose in the organization? And that's what we are doing. So we start with typically a retreat for the C-suite. It can be on-site, off-site, it doesn't really matter. But we're going to walk through 2 days of where you are.
Okay. So just going through and addressing like everyone's current vision and finding out where you're functioning and working together and where people have different philosophies or
Yes.
visions.
And our pre-work is that we do leadership assessments on everyone. So we interview 8 or so people for each individual, and we talk to them, not a 360 where you're just answering questions, but we talk. Tell me about your relationship. And we've got questions that we're asking everyone the same question. And what is functional? What is dysfunctional? What happens when you challenge this person? What is the reaction when you give feedback? All of those kinds of things. We interview the board, and during that 2 days, we start debriefing all those answers, and that can be
Yeah.
tough. That can be
Yeah, I
really
bet.
tough.
Yeah. You got to get the skeletons out of the closet there, no?
Exactly.
Have you
Exactly.
ever had like a situation where it was very tense, like where there was a lot of skeletons in the closet and you were able to air the dirty laundry and kind of put the ship back on course?
Yes, I just had one. And what I did was the debrief privately.
Yeah.
And we talked about it and talked about it and talked about it. And having the person, the executive, understand that he wasn't being perceived in the way that he thought he was being perceived. It was way off, way
Really?
off.
Okay.
Yeah. And that basically he had put himself in a position where nobody was empowered to make a decision. Everything got run through him, but he didn't see it. He was angry that people were coming to him for decisions they should be making. Two completely different ways of looking at the world.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it sounds like it's difficult to deal with.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting though how the people in the leadership positions can sometimes be a bit disconnected from the reality of what's going on. I think also when you're in a leadership role, sometimes you feel like you're not able to actually go and reach out and talk to people because like you need to be holding on to this position of leader and like you need to have an air of being
Mm-hmm.
100% certain of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be like you could think of it as undermining yourself to try and go and actually admit that you're
Yeah.
not, not certain that there's alignment, and to kind of show that vulnerability, I guess.
Right. Exactly. There's the word. It is not allowing yourself to show up with some vulnerability and being able to say, I don't know, what do you think? What's the best way to handle this? I went through it. Oh my word. When I was CEO at the Gates Lab, I had gone back to Berkeley and done an executive certification. I'm constantly doing a certification. I'm always learning. And part of that, afterwards, I did my coaching certification, not to become a coach, but to be a better leader. So I popped back into my company, right? And I'm a coach. I'm a coach. So we're going to completely change how these conversations go. And I went back several months later to my coach at Berkeley and said, I don't understand what's going on here because I've worked so hard on these conversations listening, being available. And not many people, except for my direct reports, show up in my office. And in the most lovely way, she basically said to me, "What are you, crazy? You're the CEO."
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone other than your direct reports are going to come into your office and be honest and talk to you like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like
this person? Oh.
the janitor's coming in and saying like, "Oh, the vice president yelled at me." No.
And I thought, oh yeah, okay, we've got a hierarchy and I need to pay
Yeah.
attention to this.
Yeah. Yeah. There's always going to be like a filtering effect, right? It's going to be hard to be really involved with what's going on the
Hmm.
ground floor, you know?
Right. And that's how you lose touch with your own company.
Yeah. Yeah. So like that's you have to go out there and do the rounds and, be
Right.
have boots on the ground talking to people, you know. But it's
Ab-
hard when you have a lot of responsibilities, right? You know, you're so busy trying to keep on top of, what's on your desk. How do you say like, what's more important is to just go around and have a conversation with people. I know
right.
that's counterintuitive, but it can actually, keep the structure a lot more stable.
Yes. Yes, you're right. Absolutely.
Um, so you've talked about, jumping off cliffs, and what some of your current projects are. I mean, what's in the future for you? What is the next big cliff that you feel like jumping off?
Um, the next big cliff for me is that I want to work with more of these corporations and really get this a system for implementation built because I think that's where the impact comes from. There are so many people in organizations. If we can make a difference organizationally, then you make a difference in how many people's lives. It's wonderful.
Right.
And that's my next big challenge is how to make that work and get corporations to say, yeah, we need to do this.
Yeah. So wait, is the next big challenge making a repeatable system that can be kind of adopted more easily, or is it just doing the outreach to make the connections and get more people on board?
Yeah, it's making the connections, getting more people on board. At this point in my life, I do not want to build another company. I, not now. I'll help other people do theirs. And I very much, though, want to have a larger impact. And I love the one on one coaching, but I think it's so much more effective when you're also team coaching. Let's everybody sit down and talk about that.
And like currently in your structure, you're doing mostly like all the coaching yourself, or do you have a hierarchy of people underneath you that are going out and implementing your processes? Like, what does the structure of your methodology look like?
All many corporations, of course, I can't work with everyone. And so I have built this cadre of really great coaches around me. And people come in as independent contractors and we work together. And we're all always available for each other to help make projects successful. It's great. I can't imagine a better system.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the thing is you can't be there for everyone, like you said, doing one-on-one coaching, or you're only one person at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's right.
There's only
Exactly.
so many hours in the day.
You're right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we split teams up and different people work with different coaches. The other thing is that one size doesn't fit all with
Yeah.
coaching. And we really have to make sure that the chemistry is right between the individual and the coach, or else the relationship won't be close enough.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you need to be comfortable with the coach and be able to create that space where you can be vulnerable, where you can open up, and where change can actually happen, right?
Yes, yes, exactly. And that whatever you say, you're still safe. It's going to be okay.
100%. Like, I mean, that's got to be one of the biggest challenges, right? Is like just getting the person where they feel they can open up. And then after that, it kind of happens, right? It flows.
Yes, yes. And for some people, that opening up is traumatic. It can be hard. And that's where the difference between therapy and coaching is.
Hmm.
That when somebody gets all of a sudden that bell goes off that's really deep in your soul, that's a therapy moment.
Hmm.
And then we keep working together because we're going to build a bridge to the future. But meanwhile, all the turbulent waters need to be dealt with also. And
Yeah.
therapists are wonderful for that.
Yeah. Do you feel like you become a therapist a lot of the time when you're doing this, or you must feel like you're almost bridging disciplines here in certain moments?
I keep my radar, that is one thing that my radar is up for all the time. And I always say directly, I think this is something you really could benefit from speaking to a therapist about. I'm not a therapist, I'm not trained, which makes me dangerous. I,
Right.
I
You don't
don't,
want to complicate things further by accident or something. Stick
right.
with your area of expertise.
Yeah, exactly. And ensure that I'm not, if somebody won't see a therapist, I have to make sure I'm not taking it on. And I've also said to people, I won't coach with you if you don't have a therapist.
Really? Okay. That's a
Yeah.
prerequisite then.
Yeah. Yeah. For some people, it really is where you've really got to deal with this. And
Yeah.
we're not going to be able to move forward unless you're dealing with it.
Yeah.
And most people are pretty good about that. Therapy doesn't have a stigma really in most circles.
No, I mean, I think it's so accepted nowadays. Like, everyone is willing to admit that they either have had or are seeing a therapist. And I mean, it's almost more worrisome if you've never talked to a therapist?
Thank you very much. That's exactly how I feel. You've never been to a therapist?
Yeah.
Wait, I can't be friends with you. Go
Yeah.
figure
What
it
do you have bottled up in there?
out. And I don't want it to come out on me.
Yeah. Gosh, no, that's hilarious. Well, I mean, as we start to kind of wrap things up here, like, would you be able to leave us with some words of wisdom, some advice for people, whether it be business or life or just whatever comes from your heart?
I think that my biggest lesson has been stop trying to fix. No one's broken. It's not your responsibility to fix someone else. And that as soon as you become the fixer, you actually disempower the other person and you take their soul away from them. Be there, listen, be compassionate, find out where they want to be, or if they're just recreationally complaining. But stop trying to fix other people.
Right. Empower them to create the change that they need, but let
Hmm.
them be autonomous and dictate their own future, right?
Exactly. Yes. Back
That's
down.
great. Yeah. Yeah. Calm down.
Yeah, right. Not yours. Not yours.
Oh my gosh, incredible. Lovely words of wisdom. And can we give the audience your contact information, a way to reach you, your website?
Yes, certainly. LinkedIn is one way, Alison Godfrey on LinkedIn. Another way is that on my LinkedIn site, I put my email, which is my name, Alison A. Godfrey, at gmail.com. Allison with one L. And I would be more than happy to have a conversation with anyone that wants to reach out.
Wonderful. Okay, well, you know where to find her, folks. And thank you so much for the lovely chat. It was truly invigorating. And I hope we can do it again someday. Like, So lovely speaking with you, Alison.
Thank you so much. I love our conversations,
Yeah,
and I would be honored to be here again. Thank you.
thank you. Okay, guys, that's it. Ciao, ciao.